services are no longer required here. You're dismissed from this bank effective immediately.
Pack your things, Elena. Your time here is finished. Chairman Victor Sterling doesn't hand her the storage container. He throws it onto the boardroom table with such force that water glasses tip over. 9 white executives lean back wearing smug expressions, observing the spectacle they've carefully arranged. Within the container, her business degree certificate bent at the edge, family photographs turned downward, and her leadership recognition trophy covered in tissue paper like refuse. The statement is unmistakable. You are never welcome here. Guards will remove you from the building. Where are you from? Tell us in the comments below, and if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Sterling's tone overflows with disdain. Ensure she takes nothing that belongs to us. Margaret Crawford actually erupts in genuine amusement. Perhaps now we can hire somebody who truly understands our organizational values. Dr. Elena Martinez, Stanford MBA, 19 months serving as chief executive, 24% earnings growth, sits motionless while 912 staff members observe through the company platform. The degradation is intentional, methodical, and transmitted live. Have you ever been removed from something you created by individuals who never accepted your presence from the beginning? The broadcast viewer counter increases steadily. 913, 928, 941 spectators watching in the bottom corner. Sterling's aide pretends to modify her computer while the internal messaging system erupts with reactions. You have 35 minutes before facility security initiates weekend protocols, Sterling declares, glancing at his timepiece. The identical watch he boasted about during the holiday celebration, $44,000 inherited from his father. Elena's fingertips brush her portfolio case. Inside, a metallic legal binder reflects the overhead lighting. The engraved text KLM Partners is barely distinguishable, yet present. Victor, she states, her tone unwavering as stone. Our third quarter earnings surpassed projections by 24%. What's the actual reasoning? Executive Margaret Crawford shifts forward, her expression sharp as a blade. Elena, sweetheart, you must comprehend. Our clientele anticipate a particular familiarity when entering these premises, someone relatable to them. Sometimes belonging is denied to those who have earned it most. The statement strikes like physical contact. Throughout the table, understanding looks exchange between senior members. Thomas Reynolds, the most recent board addition, moves uncomfortably in his position. Sterling's device vibrates. He examines the notification and laughs quietly. The announcement is already prepared. Mutual separation to explore alternative opportunities. Entirely cordial. Nothing against you personally, Crawford continues, touching her necklace. It's simply that certain management approaches don't function effectively in established financial institutions. Elena retrieves her device with calculated composure. Her finger hesitates over a contact identified merely as JB. One message. Authorization 7. Proceed now. The transmission travels downtown. Devices alert in an office overlooking the federal building. You individuals always transform everything into discrimination, Sterling remarks, his facade completely slipping. Sometimes you're simply unqualified. Finished. The platform broadcast surges. 1,319 viewers. Screen captures flood social platforms immediately. Somebody initiates a hashtag justice for executive. Vanessa Miller, a junior financial analyst working overtime, now positions herself in the corridor with her device against the transparent barrier. Her broadcast to social media attracts her university connections. Students at Howard, Spelman, and Morehouse. The audience count rises, 3,600, 6,100, 8,700. Miss, I must remove you from the premises, states Marcus Williams, security director, though he pauses. Marcus has served here 13 years. He recalls when Elena began, how she memorized every employee's identity within 7 days, how she advocated to secure his son an apprenticeship. The facility's announcement system activates. Notice to all personnel, remain in the building for a compulsory gathering. Repeat, departing the facility is prohibited. Elena doesn't react. She examines her device. 5:14 in the afternoon. This isn't negotiable. Sterling's volume escalates. You're dismissed. Immediately effective. Security handles everything now. 2 additional guards arrive, positioned beside Marcus. The atmosphere temperature appears to decrease significantly. 9 executives, 3 security personnel, 1 aide still transmitting, and Elena Martinez isolated at the table's head. Crawford's tone becomes artificially sweet. We've already informed the press. Extremely smooth transition. Nobody needs complications. The warning lingers like residue from discharged weaponry. Vanessa's broadcast count reaches 12,800. Responses accumulate rapidly. This represents discrimination. Protect this woman's position. Where's accountability? Somebody has already identified Horizon National Bank. The institution's primary line begins ringing, then continues. The receptionist below appears puzzled as every line illuminates crimson. 30 minutes, Sterling taps his timepiece again. Then security accompanies you to your vehicle. Extremely straightforward. Elena's palm rests on her portfolio. The metallic legal binder feels cool against her skin through the material. Within that binder, 3 weeks of meticulous documentation, audio captures, electronic correspondence chains, conference transcriptions, all completely legitimate, all utterly incriminating. However, she doesn't reveal it, not presently. Instead, she observes each executive sequentially. Reynolds won't engage her gaze. He understands this is unjust. Crawford's expression wavers under the consistent observation. Even Sterling's assurance diminishes. You understand what's fascinating about established banking? Elena's tone penetrates the strain like surgical steel. It's constructed on confidence, standing, the conviction that organizations will act appropriately. She pauses, observing the broadcast count increase upward on the aide's display. 16,200 viewers and climbing. What occurs when individuals cease trusting? Marcus adjusts his stance. The other guards appear troubled. They've all witnessed the responses flooding the broadcast. Their relatives are likely observing. Sterling's device vibrates again. This occasion he scowls, reading the notification. Then another vibration. Another scowl. The institution's client assistance line is activating intensely. 5:22 in the afternoon. The facility's automated mechanism announces 28 minutes to security initiation. However, something has transformed in the chamber's dynamics. The equilibrium of authority shifts like geological formations, gradual, invisible, yet monumental. Elena examines her device. A solitary message from JB, arrival 2 minutes. She positions the device down and displays emotion for the initial occasion since entering the chamber. It's not pleasant emotion. It's the expression of somebody who's been strategizing chess while everyone else played simpler games. Justice delayed isn't justice, denied when preparation meets opportunity. Victor, she states gently, you should reconsider that announcement. Sterling's amusement is harsh and acerbic. Reconsider. You're irrational if you believe his device rings. The identification displays Channel 9 journalism. He refuses the communication, yet it rings again instantly. Different contacts, then another. Sir, the aide's tone wavers. She's staring at her computer display. The broadcast, it's been distributed to multiple platforms. 46,000 observations in the previous 2 minutes. The pigment vanishes from Crawford's features. Her device starts vibrating. Messages inundate from her social organization associates, her daughter at Duke, her neighbors. Everyone's requesting the identical question. Is this genuinely occurring at your institution? Marcus clears his respiratory passage. Mr. Sterling, perhaps we should. You perform your responsibility and remove her. Sterling interrupts sharply, immediately. However, Marcus doesn't advance. Behind him, the 2 younger guards exchange observations. One of them, Officer Jackson, whispers to his colleague. His partner attends Howard University. She's been messaging him screen captures from the broadcast. 5:24 in the afternoon. 26 minutes to security activation. Vanessa's social broadcast reaches 29,000 viewers. She's describing quietly. Everyone, this is live from Horizon National Bank. They're dismissing their minority female chief executive without justification. This is discrimination in actual time. The responses section erupts. Somebody contact journalism, obtain legal representation involved, document everything. This is 2025, not 1955. Executive Reynolds finally articulates, Victor, perhaps we should postpone this discussion. The perception is the perception. Crawford's tone rises to a shriek. Thomas, she's the individual causing this circus. If she'd simply depart quietly like an obedient little staff member. Is that what you anticipated? Elena's words are surgical precision. The chamber falls silent except for the continuous vibrating of devices. Everyone's electronics are activating like a digital tempest. Sterling's aide, Sarah, Elena recalls, a recent graduate from Georgia State, appears physically unwell. The platform broadcast she initiated accidentally has now been screen documented and transferred to social platforms. Multiple variations, different perspectives, different identifications. Each identification gains thousands of publications within minutes. This is what occurs, Sterling hisses, when you individuals don't understand your position. The words suspend in the atmosphere like poisonous vapor. Even Sterling flinches. Crawford drops her writing instrument, Marcus's expression tightens, and Vanessa's broadcast captures it all in perfect audio quality. 5:26 in the afternoon, 24 minutes to security activation. Elena's device vibrates with a message from JB. Reception area. Prepared when you are. She doesn't respond, doesn't express emotion, doesn't reveal anything, yet something shifts in her bearing. Straighter posture, elevated chin, the demeanor of somebody who's about to utilize their advantage. You understand what's intriguing about live social platforms? She states conversationally. Once something becomes widespread, you can't regulate it, can't eliminate it, can't manipulate it. Sterling's device displays 19 missed communications. Channel 9, Channel 5, the Atlanta Business Chronicle, financial news networks, even national business journalism. The institution's communication mechanism is overwhelmed, the aide reports, her tone shaking. Client assistance is receiving countless communications. Individuals are inquiring about terminating accounts. For the initial occasion, genuine apprehension flickers across Sterling's features. Horizon National Bank assists 51,000 clients across metropolitan Atlanta. If even 6% terminate their accounts, this is coercion, he accuses. You orchestrated this entire situation. I orchestrated nothing, Elena responds tranquilly. I'm positioned in a chamber being discriminated against while individuals observe. The response is authentic. Vanessa angles her device to capture Sterling's crimson features, Crawford's panicked countenance, the security personnel's uncomfortable movement. Her subscriber count has doubled in actual time. Organization members from throughout the nation are distributing the broadcast. One response catches attention. Everyone better not utilize this institution. If they treat minority executives like this, how are they going to treat regular clients? Within minutes, it's been redistributed 22,600 times. 5:28 in the afternoon, 22 minutes to security activation. The facility's reception phone rings at the security station, then rings more. The station officer, a middle-aged individual named Daniel, answers on the third ring. Horizon National Bank. How may I what? No, I can't comment on, miss. Please wait. He positions the communication on hold, retrieves another line. No, we don't have a declaration about, sir. I'm simply security. The lines activate like illumination. Local journalism, national journalism, financial correspondence, civil liberties organizations, and countless regular individuals demanding responses. Reynolds stands suddenly. I'm requesting an emergency postponement. This entire proceeding is, sit down, Thomas, Sterling commands. We're completing this. However, Reynolds is already collecting his materials. I won't be involved in this circus. Margaret, Victor, you're destroying this organization. He advances toward the entrance, then pauses. Miss Martinez, I apologize. This isn't how we should operate business. The entrance closes behind him with a gentle sound. Now it's 8 against 1. 8 executives, 3 security personnel, 1 frightened aide, and Elena Martinez positioned calmly at the table's head with her mysterious portfolio. 5:30 in the afternoon, 20 minutes to security activation. Vanessa's broadcast reaches 50,000 viewers. Somebody has contacted the NAACP. Somebody else connected the National Association of Banking Women. The narrative is spreading beyond social platforms into organized advocacy networks. Outside in the corridor, more staff members assemble. Information spreads through the facility like combustion. The maintenance personnel, the customer service representatives, the credit officers, they all understand what's occurring. Many retrieve their devices to document. Horizon Crisis begins gaining attention locally. Within the hour, it'll be national. Miss Marcus states quietly, "Perhaps we should wait for what?" Crawford interrupts, "For this to worsen. Remove her from here immediately." However, as Marcus takes a step forward, his communication device crackles to life. "Security to Conference Chamber 12. We have multiple attorneys in the reception requesting access to Miss Martinez. They state they're here on urgent legal business." The chamber goes completely silent. Elena examines her device again. Another message from JB. All 9 are here, prepared for Phase 2. She positions the device down and observes directly at Sterling. "Victor, I attempted to make this simple, a quiet conversation, a reasonable discussion. However, you chose to make it ugly." Her tone never rises above conversational level, yet something in her inflection makes everyone shift forward. So now it gets complicated. 5:31 in the afternoon, 19 minutes to security activation. The elevator chimes softly 9 floors below as it begins its climb. The reinforcements are arriving. The conference chamber entrance opens with surgical accuracy. 9 figures in charcoal business attire file in like a precision tactical unit. Leading them is Jennifer Burke, KLM Partners' senior litigation partner, a woman whose courtroom standing precedes her like thunder before lightning. Her presence transforms the chamber's energy instantly. Executives who moments ago held all authority now contract in their leather positions. "Good evening, board members." Her tone could penetrate diamonds. "I'm attorney Jennifer Burke, representing Dr. Elena Martinez in federal discrimination proceedings against this organization." Sterling's features cycle through confusion, anger, and awakening horror. "What federal proceedings? This is a private personnel matter." "Not anymore." Elena opens her portfolio with calculated composure. The metallic binder emerges like legendary weaponry from stone. "Victor, meet Federal Banking Commission complaint number 2025-8934 filed 3 weeks ago." The chamber's atmosphere shifts like barometric pressure decrease before a hurricane. Every executive shifts forward despite themselves, drawn by the gravity of federal involvement. Jennifer's associate, a tall individual with silver temples, distributes legal documents around the table with practiced efficiency. Each executive receives an identical packet, 49 pages of meticulously documented evidence, sworn testimony, and federal charges. The paper feels heavy in their hands, weighted with consequences. "What you're holding," Jennifer continues, her tone filling every corner of the chamber, "details systematic discrimination against Dr. Martinez based on race and gender in direct violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act, and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act." Crawford's hands shake as she examines through the pages. Her features go white as parchment. This can't be legal. You can't document private conferences without consent. Georgia is a one-party consent jurisdiction, attorney number 2 explains, adjusting his wire-rimmed eyewear. His identification reads David Johnson. Dr. Martinez had every legal right to document these interactions under Georgia Code Section 161163. The legal precision is surgical, every statement backed by statute, every claim supported by precedent. Elena's tone remains steady as stone. Audio documentation from 7 board conferences over the past 5 months. Each one contains racially coded language, discriminatory remarks, and exclusion tactics documented in accordance with EEOC guidelines. She slides a transcript across the table to Sterling. His own statements stare back at him in black and white, time-stamped with devastating accuracy. December 20th, 2024, 4:12 in the afternoon. We need somebody who fits the institution's established image. January 27th, 2025, 4:45 in the afternoon. Clients anticipate a particular cultural alignment. February 13th, 2025, 3:08 in the afternoon. Some management approaches just don't translate in our market. Every euphemism, every subtle signal, every carefully crafted phrase designed to avoid stating what they genuinely meant. Documented, time-stamped, and legally admissible in federal court. 5:33 in the afternoon. 17 minutes to security activation. The Federal Banking Commission has been investigating for 22 days, Jennifer announces, letting the weight of federal oversight settle over the chamber. Dr. Martinez has been cooperating fully as a protected whistleblower under Section 1058 of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau guidelines. Attorney number 3, a young minority woman named Maya Patel with prestigious law credentials practically radiating from her bearing, speaks for the initial occasion. We also have sworn statements from 13 current and former staff members documenting a pattern of discriminatory behavior spanning 19 months. She produces another binder, this one thicker than the initial. The testimonies are alphabetized, notarized, and devastating. Vanessa Miller's name appears on the initial statement, 3 pages detailing microaggressions and coded language. Marcus Williams's follows, security personnel witnessing systematic exclusion of minority staff members from leadership conferences. Even Sarah, the trembling aide still transmitting to thousands, had provided testimony 4 days ago when Elena approached her privately about the hostile work environment she'd been documenting with growing concern. "This is impossible," Sterling sputters, his usual commanding presence reduced to desperate denials. "You can't have constructed a federal case in 3 weeks. Try 4 months." Elena's expression is Arctic cold, revealing the depth of her preparation. "I started documenting irregularities the day you questioned my cultural compatibility during the holiday celebration when you suggested our clients might prefer somebody more established." The broadcast count on Sarah's computer reaches 78,000 viewers. Vanessa has switched to another platform to capture the legal unit's dramatic arrival. Responses flood in faster than the eye can follow. "She came prepared. That's how you fight back. Federal case. They're finished. Never underestimate a minority woman with documentation." Jennifer produces a thick legal brief bound in blue covers, the kind reserved for federal court filings. Horizon National Bank faces 9 distinct federal charges. Racial discrimination in employment practices under Title VII. Gender-based harassment under the Equal Protection Clause. Violation of banking diversity requirements under the Community Reinvestment Act Section 803. She pauses, letting each charge land like hammer blows. And retaliation against a protected whistleblower, which under 12 U.S.C. Section 1931J carries mandatory criminal penalties, including potential imprisonment. The blood drains from every feature around the table. Criminal penalties mean personal liability, imprisonment, professional destruction, the kind of consequences that destroy careers and legacies. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta has been notified. Attorney David Johnson adds, his tone carrying the authority of institutional power, as has the Office of the Controller of the Currency. They're reviewing Horizon's banking charter for immediate suspension pending investigation outcome. Charter suspension, the corporate death penalty. No institution survives losing its federal charter. Every credit would be recalled, every deposit transferred. The organization would cease existing within 95 days. Executive Harrison, who hadn't spoken all evening, finally finds his tone. "How did you? When did you?" Dr. Martinez first contacted our firm in December, Maya Patel explains. Initial consultation regarding workplace discrimination. We advised documentation and patience. By February, we had enough evidence to proceed. Crawford's tone cracks like breaking glass. "How much do you want?" "This isn't about money," Elena replies, her dignity intact despite everything they'd put her through. "This is about justice, systemic change, accountability for actual experiences like mine that occur every day in corporate America." 5:35 in the afternoon. 15 minutes to security activation. Maya Patel slides another document forward, this one bearing federal seals and official letterhead. Under the Federal Banking Commission's Settlement Framework, 2025, Section 12A, Horizon has 77 hours to choose between 2 options. She counts on her fingers like a prosecutor addressing a jury. each point delivered with prosecutorial precision. Option 1, full compliance. Dr. Martinez's immediate reinstatement with expanded authority and 4-year contract protection. $2.4 million settlement to be donated to financial literacy programs in underserved communities. Mandatory unconscious bias training for all staff members quarterly for 2 years conducted by certified federal contractors. Board restructuring to ensure 42% minority representation within 7 months. The demands are comprehensive, designed to transform institutional culture from the ground up. Sterling's hands clench into fists. And option 2, federal trial, full discovery process, including subpoenas for all board communications, financial records, and personal electronic correspondence dating back 6 years. Media coverage of every proceeding under federal court public access rules. FDIC investigation into lending practices with potential pattern or practice findings. Potential civil rights lawsuit with treble damages under federal statute 42 U.S.C. section 1981. Jennifer's tone drops to barely above a whisper, yet every word carries the weight of judicial consequence. And Dr. Martinez has already been approached by 71 staff members ready to join a class action suit for hostile work environment, including several department heads. The chamber goes completely silent, except for the hum of devices vibrating with notifications, and the soft sound of Sarah's broadcast capturing every moment for posterity. Attorney number 4, a silver-haired individual named Robert Kim, whose Supreme Court clerkship gives him instant credibility, opens his briefcase. We've also identified potential violations of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act in your credit approval processes. The Department of Justice Civil Rights Division is extremely interested in your rejection rates for minority applicants. He slides a statistical analysis across the table. The numbers are damning, presented in charts and graphs that tell a narrative of systematic exclusion. Minority applicants rejected at 2.5 times the rate of white applicants with identical credit profiles. Hispanic applicants at 1.9 times the rate. Asian applicants facing inexplicable delays in processing. That's a separate federal investigation, he adds casually, delivering the knockout punch. Already in progress with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. 5:37 in the afternoon, 13 minutes to security activation. Sterling's device vibrates insistently. He glances at the display and his features go ashen. That's the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Answer it, Elena suggests with quiet authority. They're probably contacting about the emergency audit scheduled for Tuesday morning at 8 sharp. His hands shake as he declines the communication, yet it rings again instantly. Different contacts, then another. The federal banking mechanism mobilizes like an immune response against discrimination. The narrative broke on financial news networks 18 minutes ago, Meyer announces, checking her device with professional satisfaction. Federal discrimination case filed against Georgia Community Institution. Stock market implications for parent holding companies. Horizon isn't publicly traded, yet its parent holding company is. The after-hours stock price has already dropped 14% and is falling. Vanessa's broadcast responses explode with celebration and vindication. She had documentation, 4 months of planning, never mess with a smart minority woman, federal case, they're finished. This is how you fight systemic discrimination. The viewer count climbs past 134,000 as touching narratives of workplace discrimination flood the responses from viewers sharing their experiences. Crawford's tone is barely a whisper. What occurs if we choose option 1? Jennifer's expression is professional, precise, and absolutely lethal. Dr. Martinez returns to work Tuesday morning with full executive authority. You issue a public apology acknowledging the discrimination. The federal case proceeds, but with recommended reduced penalties for cooperation. She pauses for effect, savoring the complete reversal of authority. And you personally undergo 26 months of court-supervised bias counseling at your expense. The humiliation would be exquisite. Public acknowledgement of guilt, court supervision, personal accountability broadcast to the world. If we choose option 2, Sterling asks, though he already knows the answer will destroy him. Criminal referrals to the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. personal liability for each executive under federal anti-retaliation statutes, federal trial with full media coverage, and Dr. Martinez keeps her position anyway under whistleblower protection statutes. 5:39 in the afternoon, 11 minutes to security activation. Elena stands for the initial occasion since the conference began, rising with the quiet dignity of somebody who has transformed victimization into victory. I gave you a chance to do this quietly, to treat me with basic professional respect, to acknowledge my qualifications and contributions to this organization. Her tone never rises, yet power radiates from every word. The power of preparation, justice, and federal law. Instead, you chose humiliation, discrimination. You chose to make this about race when it should have been about results. She gestures to her legal unit with quiet pride. So I made it about justice, federal justice, the kind with teeth, precedent, and consequences that transform entire organizations. The broadcast reaches 142,000 viewers. Federal justice begins gaining attention nationwide alongside minority narratives. You have 77 hours to decide, Jennifer announces with final authority. Choose wisely. The federal government is observing. The legal unit files out as precisely as they entered, leaving behind shell-shocked executives, irrefutable evidence, and the ruins of institutional discrimination. Elena remains standing, portfolio in hand, observing down at the individuals who attempted to destroy her career and instead destroyed their credibility. Oh, and Victor, she states softly, delivering the final blow with surgical precision. You might want to cancel that announcement. Sunday morning, 9:12 in the morning. Horizon National Bank's executive conference chamber feels like a war crimes tribunal. The mahogany table that once symbolized power now serves as an altar of accountability. Victor Sterling sits at the head, yet his authority has evaporated like morning mist. Dark circles under his eyes suggest he didn't sleep. His normally pristine suit is wrinkled, his silver hair uncombed. The weight of federal investigation has aged him a decade overnight. The Federal Reserve contacted 7 times, he announced at the Emergency Board conference. His tone cracks on federal. The FDIC wants our credit files. The Office of the Comptroller scheduled an emergency examination for Wednesday. Executive Harrison shuffles through regulatory letters with shaking hands. They're requesting 6 years of employment records, personnel files, electronic correspondence archives, everything. Margaret Crawford looks like she's aged 25 years since Saturday evening. Her usual perfectly arranged appearance has crumbled into desperate disarray. My attorney says we're looking at personal liability under Section 1983. Civil rights violations carry mandatory attorney fees. The broadcast from Saturday night has been observed 2.6 million times across platforms. Horizon Crisis reached number 4, gaining attention on social platforms. National news networks picked up the narrative. Major newspapers' business sections, led with Georgia Institution, faces federal discrimination charges. Stock price dropped another 9% in pre-market trading, reports Executive Williams, scrolling through his device with visible distress. Parent company shareholders are demanding explanations. The parent holding company, Southern Financial Group, controls 14 community institutions across 4 states. Horizon's crisis threatens the entire network. Federal scrutiny spreads like disease through financial organizations. Sterling's device vibrates. He glances at the caller identification. Atlanta Business Chronicle. He lets it go to voicemail. It's the 16th media communication since midnight. What about our legal options? Crawford asks desperately. Can we challenge the documentation? Claim entrapment. Corporate attorney Michael Reynolds, hastily retained at $850 per hour, shakes his head grimly. Georgia's one-party consent statute is ironclad. The documentation is admissible. The federal case has merit. He slides a legal brief across the table. KLM Partners has a 95% success rate in federal discrimination cases. They've never lost a banking discrimination case. Ever. The chamber falls silent except for the ticking of Sterling's inherited timepiece, the same watch that counted down Elena's humiliation just 20 hours ago. The Justice Department Civil Rights Division opened a parallel investigation. Reynolds continues. pattern or practice inquiry into lending discrimination. If they find systemic bias, we're looking at a consent decree. Consent decrees are federal court orders that can control institution operations for decades. Every credit, every hire, every policy decision subject to government oversight. Williams pulls up news coverage on his tablet. Channel 9 interviewed 4 former staff members, all minorities, all claiming discrimination. The perception is catastrophic, Crawford finishes. My social organization associates won't return my communications. My daughter's getting questions at Duke. Sterling's device vibrates again. This occasion, he recognizes the contact. Horizon's largest commercial client, Davidson Construction. They hold $4.5 million in deposits and a $3.1 million credit line. He answers reluctantly. "Good morning, Thomas. Victor, we need to talk." Thomas Davidson's tone is ice cold. "Our company has a zero-tolerance diversity policy. We can't be associated with organizations facing federal discrimination charges." The blood drains from Sterling's features. "Thomas, surely we can. We're moving our accounts to Regions Monday morning. Nothing personal, just business." The line goes silent. Davidson Construction represents just the beginning. Within 3 hours, 4 more major clients contact with similar notifications. By noon, $13.9 million in deposits are scheduled for transfer. Reynolds checks his legal pad. Under the Federal Banking Commission's settlement framework, you have until Tuesday at 5 in the afternoon to respond. 43 hours remaining. He outlines the mathematics of destruction. Option 2 means federal trial. Discovery will reveal every board communication, every electronic correspondence, every message for 6 years. Personal depositions under oath. Media coverage of every proceeding. Harrison's features go white. Personal depositions. Under federal civil rights law, each executive faces individual liability. Potential damages range from $55,000 to $220,000 per person, plus mandatory attorney fees. The financial devastation would be personal and total. Retirement accounts drained, houses mortgaged, reputations destroyed. The Department of Justice investigation is separate. Reynolds continues. Criminal referrals possible under 18 U.S.C. Section 242. Deprivation of rights under color of law. If they prosecute, we're talking potential imprisonment. Federal prison. Orange jumpsuits. The ultimate humiliation for individuals who'd built their identity on social status and respectability. Crawford's tone trembles. What about option 1? Reynolds reads from the settlement terms. Dr. Martinez's immediate reinstatement as chief executive with expanded authority. 4-year contract protection against termination without federal oversight approval. $2.4 million settlement donated to community financial literacy programs. He continues down the list. Mandatory unconscious bias training for all staff members, quarterly sessions for 24 months. Board restructuring requires 42% minority representation within 7 months. Annual diversity audits by independent federal contractors. The requirements would transform Horizon completely. Every hearing decision scrutinized. Every promotion reviewed. Every policy evaluated through an equity lens. And personal consequences, Sterling asks, though he dreads the answer. Public apology acknowledging discriminatory behavior. Court-supervised bias counseling for 26 months at personal expense. Resignation from all community leadership positions. The social humiliation would be exquisite. Sterling serves on 5 nonprofit boards, chairs the Chamber of Commerce, belongs to 4 exclusive clubs. All of it gone. Williams looks up from his tablet. The narrative's gone national. Financial news networks, major business publications. Somebody leaked the settlement terms. The media firestorm grows by the hour. Business correspondents dissecting the case. Legal analysts explaining federal banking law. Civil rights leaders calling for systemic change. Justice for Elena has generated 923,000 social platform posts. Her narrative resonates across corporate America, touching narratives of discrimination that inspire other victims to speak out. Sterling's device displays 41 missed communications. Regional media, national outlets, financial analysts, shareholders demanding explanations. The avalanche of accountability accelerates. There's something else, Reynolds states grimly. KLM Partners filed a motion for expedited discovery. If you choose option 2, depositions begin next week. Next week, 8 days to prepare for legal interrogation under oath. Federal prosecutors asking pointed questions about racial bias. Every statement recorded, transcribed, potentially criminal. Crawford breaks first. I can't do this. I won't go to prison for Victor's discrimination. My discrimination, Sterling explodes. You made the cultural alignment comment. You called the conference. You pushed the termination. The board fractures in actual time. 19 months of unified discrimination crumbling into desperate self-preservation. Harrison stands abruptly. I'm calling for an emergency vote. Full acceptance of option 1. All in favor. 5 hands rise immediately. Williams, Harrison, and 3 others who'd remained silent during Saturday's debacle. Victor? Harrison asks. Crawford's hand trembles as it rises. I vote yes. All eyes turn to Sterling. The individual who'd orchestrated Elena's humiliation now faces his moment of accountability. His device vibrates again. Another major client. Another account closure. Another step toward institutional collapse. We need a unanimous vote, Reynolds explains. Federal settlement requires full board approval. The silence stretches like taut wire. Sterling stares at the cardboard container still sitting on the credenza, the same container he'd used to humiliate Elena. The wilted plant inside has died completely. Outside, protesters have assembled. Information spread through social platforms Sunday morning. 215 individuals holding signs, justice for Dr. Martinez and banking, while minority should not be a crime. Local news crews filmed the demonstration. The visual perception is devastating. A community institution under siege for discriminating against its chief executive. Sterling's tone is barely a whisper. Yes, I vote yes. The decision is unanimous. Option 1 accepted. Reynolds makes notes on his legal pad. I'll contact KLM partners immediately. Dr. Martinez returns to work Tuesday morning at 9. Press conference scheduled for 2 in the afternoon with full board apology. As executives file out like defeated generals, Sterling remains isolated in the conference chamber. The mahogany table that once represented his power now serves as a reminder of its limits. On Tuesday morning, Dr. Elena Martinez would walk through these entrances again, yet this occasion federal law would be her shield and justice would be her weapon. The corporate showdown was finished. Justice had won. Tuesday morning, 9:13 in the morning. Dr. Elena Martinez walks through Horizon National Bank's glass entrances for the initial occasion since Saturday's attempted termination. The difference is seismic. Marcus Williams, security director, stands at attention. Good morning, Dr. Martinez. Welcome back. His respect is genuine now, not the conflicted deference of an individual caught between conscience and orders. Every staff member in the reception turns to observe. Some applaud quietly, others nod with satisfaction. Vanessa Miller waits by the elevator, her device recording discreetly. Not for widespread content this occasion, but for historical documentation. How does it feel to be back? She asks. Like coming home, Elena replies simply. But better, because now everyone understands where they stand. The elevator rises to the executive floor. The same corridor where she'd been humiliated now feels transformed. Federal oversight changes everything, not just policies, but the very atmosphere individuals breathe. At 2 in the afternoon sharp, the press conference begins. 9 executives sit behind a banner reading Horizon National Bank, Commitment to Equity and Justice. The irony is intentional. Victor Sterling steps to the podium, his prepared statement shaking in his hands. The individual who dismissed Elena with casual cruelty now faces public accountability. On behalf of Horizon National Bank's Board of Directors, I offer our sincere apology to Dr. Elena Martinez for discriminatory treatment that violated both her dignity and federal law. His tone cracks on federal law. Behind him, Margaret Crawford stares at her hands, unable to engage the cameras. We acknowledge that our actions reflected unconscious bias and systemic failures that have no place in modern banking. Dr. Martinez's leadership has driven unprecedented growth, 24% profit increase, expanded community lending, and innovative financial literacy programs. The admission of competence makes their discrimination even more damning. They didn't dismiss her for performance. They dismissed her for existing while being a minority. Effective immediately, Horizon implements comprehensive reforms, mandatory bias training for all staff members, independent diversity audits, board restructuring to ensure minority representation reflects our community. Channel 9's correspondent raises her hand. Mr. Sterling, do you accept personal responsibility for the discrimination? Sterling's pause stretches uncomfortably. Yes. My actions and words contributed to a hostile environment. I take full responsibility. The words taste like ashes, yet federal oversight demands truth. 4 months later, the transformation is measurable. Horizon's workforce diversity has increased 41%. The new minority executives bring fresh perspectives and community connections. Marcus Johnson chairs the newly created Equity Committee. Dr. Amara Williams, former Civil Rights Regional Director, oversees hearing practices. Both appointments suggested by Elena, approved unanimously by the reformed board. The institution's financial performance tells its narrative. Customer deposits have grown by $46 million, new accounts from minority communities who'd never trusted Horizon before. Community leaders recommend the institution specifically because of its equity commitment. When organizations demonstrate genuine change, Elena explains to business publications, communities respond. Our credit approval rates for minority applicants now exceed industry averages, not through lowered standards, but through eliminating bias. The federal settlement's $2.4 million funds 4 community initiatives, financial literacy programs in underserved neighborhoods, small business development credits, and college banking education partnerships with historically minority colleges. Vanessa Miller, promoted to Community Outreach Coordinator, manages the programs. Dr. Martinez turned her discrimination into community empowerment. She tells the local journalism. That's transformational leadership. The unconscious bias training extends beyond legal requirements. Monthly workshops explore microaggressions, inclusive communication, and equity in financial services. Not corporate theater, but genuine cultural transformation. Staff member satisfaction surveys show remarkable improvement. The anonymous response mechanism implemented to prevent future discrimination reveals testimonials about improved workplace culture. I can finally be myself at work. Leadership actually listens now. We're serving communities we ignored before. Victor Sterling resigned from all community leadership positions as required. His court-supervised bias counseling sessions are private, yet courthouse correspondents note his regular Wednesday appointments. The individual who wielded power casually now answers to federal oversight. Margaret Crawford left Georgia entirely, a quiet resignation followed by relocation to her daughter's city. Some failures demand geographic distance for healing. 7 months after the federal case, Horizon receives the Community Reinvestment Act's highest rating for the initial occasion in its history. The federal audit finds outstanding performance in community development and minority lending. Compliance isn't enough, Elena tells the board during their quarterly review. Excellence requires intentionality. We're not just following federal law, we're modeling what equitable banking looks like. The institution's success narrative spreads through financial networks. 4 other community institutions implement similar equity initiatives. The Federal Reserve cites Horizon as a best practices model for diversity and inclusion. Actual experiences of transformation emerge daily. Maria Rodriguez, denied a business credit 3 years ago, now owns a thriving restaurant with Horizon's support. James Martinez bought his initial home through the institution's expanded minority lending program. These touching narratives represent more than individual success. They demonstrate systemic change that ripples through communities. The cardboard container from that Saturday confrontation sits in Elena's office now, not as humiliation, but as a reminder. Inside, the dead plant has been replaced with a thriving bamboo shoot. Growth from adversity. Resilience through justice. Federal oversight continues, yet Horizon has embraced transformation beyond legal requirements. The organization that once embodied discrimination now champions equity. Proof that corporate culture can change when consequences have teeth. Dr. Elena Martinez didn't just get her position back. She got justice. And in getting justice, she changed an entire organization, One policy, one person, one community credit at a time. 1 year later, Dr. Elena Martinez stands before a packed auditorium at the National Banking Convention. Her keynote speech, From Discrimination to Transformation, a federal case study, draws standing ovations from an industry finally ready to confront its biases. "I didn't fight for my position," she tells the audience of banking executives. "I fought for every person who looks like me walking into boardrooms where they're not expected to belong, where they're questioned not for their qualifications, but for their right to exist in positions of power." The Horizon model has spread across the financial sector. 19 community institutions have implemented similar equity frameworks. The American Bankers Association now requires unconscious bias training for board certification. Change ripples outward like stones dropped in still water. Federal oversight at Horizon officially ended after 20 months, 7 months ahead of schedule. The institution's transformation exceeded every compliance metric. More importantly, it created a template for institutional change that prioritizes justice over comfort. The numbers tell the narrative. Minority business credits increased 360%. Home ownership in previously underserved communities rose 26%. Customer satisfaction among minority clients reached 96%, higher than any demographic group in the institution's history. These aren't just statistics. They're life narratives. Actual experiences of families buying their initial homes, entrepreneurs launching businesses, students receiving financial literacy education that breaks generational poverty cycles. Maria Rodriguez's restaurant now employs 14 individuals and sponsored 4 other minority-owned businesses. James Martinez became a real estate agent, specializing in helping first-time minority home buyers navigate the mechanism that once excluded them. Vanessa Miller earned her business degree and was promoted to Vice President of Community Development. Each success narrative validates Elena's belief that fighting discrimination isn't just about individual justice. It's about systemic transformation that lifts entire communities. The touching narratives continue daily. Elderly customers who'd never trusted institutions now bring their grandchildren to open savings accounts. Young professionals relocate to the area specifically because of Horizon's reputation for equity. The organization that once embodied exclusion now represents possibility. Victor Sterling completed his court-supervised bias counseling and moved to another state. In his final session, according to court records, he acknowledged that his discrimination had damaged not just Elena, but the entire community the institution claimed to serve. Margaret Crawford never returned to banking. Some reckonings require complete departure from mechanisms that enabled harmful behavior. However, this narrative isn't about their redemption. It's about Elena's courage, strategic thinking, and refusal to accept discrimination as inevitable. It's about using federal law as a shield and community support as a weapon. Sometimes the most powerful revolutions happen not in the streets, but in boardrooms, courtrooms, and anywhere somebody refuses to accept that's just how things are. Elena concluded her keynote speech. Your voice matters in these narratives of resilience and transformation. Share your experiences with workplace discrimination in the responses below. Your narrative might inspire somebody else to fight back. Together, we can create systemic change, one documented case of courage at a time. Hit that subscribe button for narrative telling and activate notifications. These actual experiences of justice, intelligence, and quiet power need to be heard across every platform, every community, every boardroom where change is still needed. Because when we share these touching narratives of triumph over discrimination, we don't just inform, we inspire the next generation of leaders who refuse to be silent when faced with injustice. Share this content, comment your experience, subscribe for more narratives that prove justice isn't just possible, it's inevitable when individuals like Dr. Elena Martinez refuse to back down.